Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Racist Driving League and welcome to Season 21, Round 10 of the Championship. Welcome to the Austrian Grand Prix, held the right way around this time here at the Red Bull Ringer circuit. We've not visited since our reverse grid finale back in Season 20, but that's only 10 rounds ago, and here for what hopefully another exciting evening of racing. I'm your host, Zach RC, as always, bringing you through all the action on this fabulous Monday night, and we're set for 36 laps around the ever chaotic Red Bull Ring. But first time qualifying as the two Red Bulls are the first two cars to emerge out onto the circuit. Full 22 car group, just the one reserve in tonight. The reserve in one of those Red Bulls, that is Gaz Coleman in place of Websy. But half third place in your Drivers' Championship on 93 points, looking to make a statement with a victory at Red Bull's home Grand Prix. It's a big evening tonight for the Milton Keynes-based outfit, but of course, it's, Red Bull's nationality for the team nationality is placed in Austria. So that is what's at stake tonight for that team. But of course, up front in terms of Drivers' Championship, things are still at stake for Dan, who can't lose the championship lead today, but he can definitely lose some points on his lead. He currently sits 39 points clear of Grumio after a second place finish last time out in Barcelona, and Dan is already disconnected, which could be a light concern early on. Of course, that race was won by the Ferrari of Imri, who surprisingly have 5 cars out in the circuit, and Imri is not one of them, so that makes a start to the session. But I assume we'll see him out here sooner rather than later on this one of, if not the shortest laps of the season. Only 10 corners on the Red Bull Ring. A very fast and flowy circuit, at least in the first and third sector. The second sector a bit more technical with turns 5 and 6. But we'll see half around the last corner and take on the first flying lap. He charged up the hill towards turn 1. That first right-hander waiting for anyone who may get it wrong to go wide. Takes the curve nice and easy there. And down towards turn 2. There's a little left-hander which leads up to the heavy braking zone of turn 3. There's 4 straight modes on the circuit here in Austria. Of course, the 3 old DRS zones from down towards turns 1, 3, and 4. And then down towards turn 9, there's a straight mode waiting for us as well there. As Huff enters turn 4, that right-hander. Of course, plenty of Red Bulls in real life have come off the wrong place there in the past. In through turn 5, through turn 6, sorry. Keeping the car nice controlled into 7. 44.8 in the second sector. I think it's looking quite good for Huff so far. And as he comes towards turns 9 and 10, the 2 fast right-handers to end the lap. Easy to get things wrong in the way of track limits here. And through the last corner, keeps it nice and steady. A good exit from Huff. He charges towards the line. It's going to be looking like a 1 minute 4 here. 1 minute 4.373 is the first time on the board this evening. Gaz Coleman, his teammate, in behind. And Gaz goes second fastest, 1 minute 6.542. And PJ immediately jumps that 1 minute 5.4. So the Audi slots himself in quite nicely between the 2 Red Bulls. Cott's out on circuit. Of course, a disappointing first Grand Prix last time out with Ferrari as a full-time driver, looking to try and redeem himself tonight with a solid result. Of course, as I say, Imri won last week's Grand Prix. He's now back out on circuit, looking for his 3rd win of the season. Currently finds himself in P7 in the Drivers' Championship. Last time out, which is his 5th point score of season 20. But granted, 2 of those have been race victories. So he now sits tied with Curtis in the Drivers' Championship on 62 points each. So both those two close together. So your current standings as they run, it's down on top by 145. Grumio P2 on 106. Huff in 3rd place on 93. HP Cook into P4 on 74 points. And TTRE Harrison in P5. He sits on 68 points after a no score last time out. Of course, the late collision being in that chase impact with 2 laps to go and resulted in a crash late on. Imri backing out here, going for his first flying lap this time. Grumio is out on circuit, of course, the defending series champion. But of course, I mean, he's taken 4 wins this season, more than anyone else. So victories in Australia, Bahrain, Jeddah, and Monaco. But things weren't as smooth for him last time out in Barcelona, which is a big surprise because Grumio was, on paper, the driver who looked odds-on to win the race in Spain last time out. But things didn't go to plan for him. A pit speeding penalty, several things late on, which led to him falling down the field. In the end, he had 13 seconds worth of penalties at the checker flag and crashed the car over the line and marked himself down with a P14 finish. And that's Grumio's first no-point score all season in a race he's competing in. Of course, there's been a number of races where he's dropped so far. Races he wasn't here for include China, Japan, and Miami. But the rest of the races he's competed in and scored points. As I say, he's won 4 of them. He's competed in 6 races this season and won those 4, but Yeah, still just disappointing last time out. P14 for Grumio, and it loses 18 points to his rival in the Drivers' Championship, Dan. Dan, who is not out on track as of yet. Grumio back in the pit lane, as you saw. Imri around the last corner now. We'll see what sort of pace he's got. Imri, of course, perennial pole sitter on recent events. Goes up to P2, then 1 minute 4.518. No one is topping half just yet. Harrison in P3, so a good start to his session. Curtis in P4 and TJ in P5. These two Haas cars have really found their groove in qualifying. Of course, Curtis on the podium last week as well. It's his second podium of the campaign. 3rd place in Miami and 3rd place in Barcelona now as well. So things looking quite nice for Curtis. His teammate TJ, yet to take the podium. His best finish in P5 this season. He achieved that 3 times in Bahrain, Jeddah and Monaco. But I'm sure would love to stand on the podium along with his teammate. You see, Haas have closed the gap big time here to Red Bull in the last few weeks. But of course, the struggle with when Websy has not been here for several races. We've not seen him since back in Miami. So Red Bull have had only half the score points, and as a result, to get the fight in the Constructors' Championship, Red Bull and Haas both tied on 109 points each. So big stuff then in the race for 3rd place in the Constructors. Lucky Lambert into the pit lane there. Of course, Williams had a fairly good run last week with JB, taking home a 4th place finish. One of the drivers last season who, one of the drivers last week who of course ran the 1-stop during the race. Of course, the number of drivers took that risk sort of late on in the Grand Prix to run the 1-stop, and it paid off for a number of drivers. Of course, a number of who are very close to punctures or worse, retirements. 80 there in P5, big gains from the Silver Arrow. Alval there in P12. Aston Martin still sitting. We're now in a tied P10 in the Constructors' Championship with Audi. Both teams on 10 points each. Audi haven't scored since back in Miami. The 10th place finish courtesy of PJ Khaled. So work to be done on their part. Aston Martin, though, scored back in Monaco with Alvar. So of course, looking for another point score if he can. 10 minutes to go in the session, and we've still got 14 drivers. We've got 14 drivers who have put times in. We're still waiting on another 8 more, including both McLarens, who are both out on circuit here. And again, utilising the excellent teamwork from recent races as Dan gets the toe off of the 10th cannon. And down towards turn number 4 for Dan. We'll of course keep an eye on him. Championship leader. And as I say, can't lose the championship lead tonight, but I'm sure would love to extend his advantage by another few points. In through turns 7 and 8. Purple second sector, so looking good so far. We'll see if Dan can slot himself potentially onto the front row. Run in through the 10th and final corner here, looking for a good end to his lap. This could be a top time. It's close, but in the end, it's only 1 minute 4.6. So 4th place from and in behind Grumio by about 400 of a second. Grumio there in 3rd place. Moves past the Williams of Lucky, because there's JB on circuit. JB currently in 8th place, still coming back from that 4th place finish last week. And looking potentially for another good point score. Williams currently sitting in 8th place in the Constructors on 56 points, just 12 back from Alpine. And Alpine with, I mentioned this, a debutant in the field. Holes F1 makes his RDL debut as a full-time driver in replacement of Ben Spittles. Looking forward to seeing what he can do in his first outing. Guys come on towards the line there. Deleted his... Well, last up deleted. Imre goes fast in behind there. And the Ferrari shoots into P1. Of course, Imre, sort of, as always, qualifying, not really a concern for him in the way of performance. But only 21 thousandths in front of Huff. So things could still be awfully close here. We could see another driver come through with a faster lap and take it from him. You could look to any of the top 5 realistically to do the job. Curtis in P6 there, of course. He's been fantastic in qualifying recently. Has been pegged back a little bit in terms of the 1-lap pace by a number of other teams, but still overall very solid and very deserved to be fighting there for 3rd place in the Constructors. Has had a fantastic last few seasons as a team in the RDL with their driver lineups, and this season appears to be no different. All but one driver having now put a lap in, waiting on Cockney Goblin's Cadillac to get out into the circuit. Here, of course, his teammate Obsessed Gamer came back last week and put in a fantastic performance in that race and wound up finishing in P6 in the end. So 8 points for Obsessed upon return. We'll see if the stars can align for him once again to go for another point scoring run. And we'll see whether he needs the stars to align. So Cadillac, of course, been the big surprise this season in terms of having the new team enter the league. 35 points from so far, P9 in the Constructors. Of course, a number of points, a body there points scored by former driver Shadow Rain, and Obsessed has come in straight away and has continued that run on. Number of drivers already out on circuit. Still near sort of last runs. Caught there in 8th place, looking a lot stronger than he did last week. 18th place in Barcelona. Didn't really have the race he would have wanted throughout the evening. But perhaps tonight could be the night we get ourselves back to the cot of old. 80 there in P7, of course, falling down the field a bit. He's only 1,000th of a second in front of Cot, who himself is 1,000th in front of JB. So P7 to P9 separated by virtually nothing. Lucky Lambert there in P10, about 11 thousandths behind them. It's awfully close here. Top 14 covered by less than a second. It's 2 seconds overall through the entire field. And we'll get an exact number when Cockney Goblin puts a lap in. Goes down another flyer. Harrison's been was on his set tires for 3 laps. Same thing for Lucky here. I think we'll see him box this time. Dan down by a 10th at the end of his first sector. In through turn 4, see 10th Cannon, who was on the grass a few moments ago, going down towards turn 3. On board with Curtis there as he rides in through turn 6. Down to P7 there, so this one jump him. And that was AT into 6th place. And Romeo there with him as well. But already with his lap deleted, have to go again here. So Grummy running out of time a little bit. It's Curtis around the last corner. He's almost a 10th up on his previous effort. Coming up to complete the lap, it's going to be a 1 minute 4.633, up by 3 tenths, which puts him into 5th place. So jumping both Harrison and AT again. His teammate TJ down in P11 there, so still a slight struggle from one side of the Haas garage. 10th Cannon down towards turn 4, of course gave her teammate the toe on the previous lap. And Dan, who went back to the pit lane. Yellow flag, that's one of the Aston Martins down at turn 9. That will be Alvaro, who currently sits in P19 at 1 minute 5.786, his best effort. And going back at it again. We'll see what sort of lap 10th puts in as she comes towards the lines. Up almost half a second in the second sector and up to P4. That's a huge lap there from 10th. To put her in front of her teammate We'll see whether that sticks. There's still 3 minutes to go. So enough time for Dan to get back out there. But what a lap from 10th Cannon. We'll see how far that propels up the grid for the race start. Half's out another lap. He's got 3 minutes to get one in. Huff's backing off there. Yellow flags are out as one of the Williams cars goes on through. JB over the line to P5 there. Big lap for him as well. Number of drivers making big sprints up the field here. Imrie back on, so 10th in the gravel there. Recovers the car and carries on. I'm guessing she'll come back to the pit lane. Imrie back out in circuit and looking to try and extract the advantage. Grumio in the pit lane. I imagine we'll see him head back out into the circuit in a matter of moments. It wouldn't be like him to stay in the pit lane before final runs. Harrison there in third place, found a bit more time, a 10th and a half up on his last lap. Took Cannon towards the line. P5 for her. Curtis retires. 8th place at best for him for the race start. We are now in those last runs prior to the start of the Grand Prix. 1 minute to go. Grumio is out on track. Imrie in the last lap now. Huff goes fastest. There it is. Original pole now swings back to Huff. Imrie's on his lap. He's half a 10th up on that last effort. And Harrison going for his last lap now. Grumio is coming towards the line to begin his final run. 10th again, same thing. Dan at the last corner. Final 10 seconds. Number of drivers to come through and start their last laps. 10th should make it in time. Yes, but should be the last one to come through. Checkered flag is up. Colt will be the first car through to the line. Up by a 10th in the second sector. Up to P10 there. Imrie into the pit lane, and Imrie will not catch. He's had his lap deleted. Huff on pole as things stand. HP across the line. Disappointing stuff from V-Cup so far today. P17, P18. See more cars come through. Alvar there, P16. TJ towards the line. TJ into P11. Any improvements here? Looks like everyone's down so far. Where is Grumio? How is he doing for lap? Harrison towards the line. P4 for him. It's looking good for Huff right now. Dan 7 seconds down. So I'm guessing calling it quits on this lap. Grumio's almost 2 tenths up though. And could be in potential. Oh, he's deleted the last second there. And that will cross Grumio massively. And Huff looks safe for pole. Indeed he is. Huff in the pits, but takes pole position all the same. So Huff on pole then. Imrie second, Dan third, Harrison fourth, Grumio P5, 10th P6, JB P7, Curtis P8, Lucky P9, and AT rounds off your top 10. So very exciting end to qualifying there. Huff on top by 3/4 of a tenth to Imrie. Those two are really the race to the first corner. Red Bull versus Ferrari. Dan P3. And we're in for an incredible race start here. I'd say don't go anywhere because this has all the makings of an RDL Classic around Austria. And we will be back shortly. Welcome back to Austria, and we are moments away from getting underway now for the Austrian Grand Prix Round 10 of Season 21 in the Racers Driving League around the Red Bull Ring, a circuit that's always provided chaos in the dry weather. We should be in for a cracking race here tonight. Let's look at your circuit, the shortest track of the season here at the Red Bull Ring, just 10 corners, and as always, a bull ring for entertainment, at least for us from the fan standpoint. It's not so much for the drivers, it can be quite a minefield to navigate. Think back to last season's reverse grid finale on the reverse circuit, back on the normal layout for the first time since season 19, and hopefully in for a very enjoyable race. So Huff and Imri will lead the charge to the first corner. Dan in third place and looking to increase his championship margin to Grumio, who starts in P5. 10th Cannon alongside him in P6. See Harrison in fourth place. His teammate Holes in P12 for his RDR debut. Should be interesting to see how he gets on in a crowd. As we wait now for the formation lap to get underway, drivers getting their setups locked in, any last minute changes. And we are now underway for the installation lap prior to the start of what will be a very exciting 36 laps. Huff starts from P1. He's on pole position with Imri alongside him in P2. Medium tyres of both drivers on the race start. Dan starts from third place again, trying to increase his 39-point lead in the championship. Harrison starts from P4. And for Alpine, again, P4 for him in the standings, trying to get that back if he can outscore HB Cook by 7 points tonight. Grumio in P5, 39 points back in the standings. Looking to try and close that with a 5th win this season. 10th Cannon in P6. Again, fantastic for in recent races. A 7th place finish last time out and looking to get ourselves back on that point streak again. JV P7, P4 for him last time out. Big points for Williams in that race. We'll see if we can try and do it again as a circuit race. Taken podiums in the past before. Curtis in 8th place for Haas. Again, the team continue to excel, but need to finish high and hope that Huff has troubles to try and get Haas into 3rd place in the Constructors. Lucky he's at P9, same sort of thing for him. Hasn't scored since Monaco, so looking to carry that on and get himself back in the top 10. AT in 10th place, and looking to try and help Mercedes close the gap to McLaren. 24 points the gap in the Constructors. TJ, same thing as Curtis, looking to try and push forward, but from a spot outside of the top 10. Hulls in P12 makes the full-time debut for Alpine, and Cott in his 2nd full-time start for the Scuderia Ferrari team, looking to make improvements in that first race in Barcelona. Ericsson, P14, leads the line for Aston Martin tonight. Same thing for Obsessed Gamer. P15 for Cadillac, off the back of that 6th place finish last week. Ethan in P16 leads things for Audi. It's Alvar bringing at the rear for Aston Martin. Then the 2 V-Carbs there. HB Cook and Ben after disappointing running qualifying after HB Cook taking 5th place in last week's race. Ben yet to score this season. PJ P20, Gaz Coleman P21 in place of Webbsy for tonight's race, and Courtney Goblin disqualified from formation lap starts from P22. Looking to push forward here on the race start. As the last few cars taking the place, then Gaz Coleman and the last car to come through to the back of the grid. And Huff, his teammate tonight, is waiting at the far end for the start. Green flag is out. We're just now waiting on the lights. Huff and Imri on your front row. Just get underway here at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. Lights are on. Red Bull versus McLaren. I got it wrong already. Lights out, run away. Terrible start from me, but a good start from Huff. A charge towards the first corner lead. The top 3 immediately single file as they go into that first corner. 4 wide, down in the mid-pack towards turn 1. That's not going to end well, surely. Everyone gets through okay. A bit of damage on the Aston Martin of Alvar there as everyone falls into line as Huff leads the way over Imri. But Imri goes to the inside now, looking for the race lead into turn 3. A first lap pass as Dan goes around the outside, holding on to in turn 1. And Harrison and Grumio side by side on corner exit, leaving turn 3 and down towards 4. But Imri, ideal start, yellow flag, and it's contact for the back. And that's Ethan's Audi and HB Cook's V-Carb. Those two come together, it seems. And there goes Dan. Dan off circuit. What is going on this start? Imri leads away then, Huff in 2nd, Dan in 3rd. As Gaz rejoins and has actually gained place up to P16 through all that. That's a very chaotic start. Yellow flag again. That's Hulls down the field and Hulls off in the gravel. And a dreadful start to the debut race for Hulls. Falls down the field, down dead last year as Imri leads the first lap of 36. Dan going wide on corner exit through turn 9. And Harrison right on his tail. Harrison nudges Dan out the way there. And the championship leader falling away massively on his first lap. So scrap that. Dan is challenging into turn 1. Looking at P2 off of Huff. Can't do it. There goes Huff looking for the race lead back off Imri as they go up towards turn 3 for the 2nd time. In the same place where Imri took the lead last time round. And the yellow flag. It seems all clear. No such concern there. Yeah, Dan down the field. I'm not sure that's a decent for Dan or what, but down to P8 now. And the glitch in the first lap made me think that he's sort of been all right, but now he's down the field. P8 for Dan, and that could be big for the championship leader, given that Grumio's in P4. So as it stands, you're looking at about 8 points in Grumio's favour. So that's 31 points, the gap in the championship now as things stand. But Imri in control still. Half right on his tail, and Harrison now in third place. Harrison, let's not forget, still gunning for his first RDL victory after several podium finishes in the early portion of the season. His last one came back in Miami. He's taken 3 of them this season. And he's got your fastest lap too as we begin lap 3. Dan watching his teammate 10 count. Oh, that's further for Dan off circuit. I'm guessing we'll head back in. The car practically stopped here. No idea what's going on with Dan. Dan falling down the order. And Dan down to P18. And I mean, yeah. Oh, further contact. No idea what's going on with Dan here, but we'll continue on his way. Huff now back in the race lead over Imri. Harrison in third place. Grumio fourth. Curtis fifth. Curtis making progress. So is JB. He's up a place or two from the start. 10th Cannon in P7 there. Still trying to hang on to things. And the points, 88th place, Lucky Lamb at P9 and Curtis hanging on to 10th, but TJ right behind him as they go towards turn 9, side by side between the Williams and the Mercedes. They go through that right hander, very fast there. Big mistakes though from Dan, because that's where he's down the field and down to the pit lane here. It's been a disastrous start to the Grand Prix then for our championship leader. He's got a lot of work to do to try and recover himself. Alvar, same thing, Alvar down to the pit lane. But Huff back in control then. And on a day where so far he's in front of both of his two drivers he's trying to chase in the Drivers' Championship, finds himself getting 10 points minimum on both of them, getting 10 on Grumio. Obviously, he's got to gain a few more than that to try and close the gap. Imri right on the tail of Huff here as they run through turn 8. Grumio still in third place. And again, as it was sort of in the first stint last week, you're looking at a little bit of a train here of the leaders who are pulling away. JB in P5 leads the line. Curtis trying to challenge into turn 9. 10th right behind. Number of cars then who have pitted in the first 30 laps. Dan, Ethan and Alvar have all found the pit lane in the opening laps. All find themselves in hard tyres now with a lot of work to do and a lot of ground to make up. On to lap 5 now. It's still Huff in control. Curtis and JB side by side towards the first corner. This time Curtis gets out in front. And 10th Cannon trying to take advantage now. 10th to go to the right-hand side. And looking to take P6 and more take P6 off JB. Can she take P5 as well? No room for a move there. TJ making the pass on Cott. Cott briefly was in P8. And now Obsessed around the outside. Obsessed holding his own here very early on. AT pulling out the points completely. Lucky Lamb down to P12. So the number of drivers fall into the field here on those hard tyres. Majority of the field starting on the mediums. Let's look at your position change so far. Your biggest gainer in this Grand Prix for now it's PJ Callaghan, who's going around the outside as we speak of Ericsson. If he can get that move done and pull clear, then that'll be the most places gained tied. Or rather break the tie. And there's Cott with the first penalty of the evening, 3 seconds. Obsessed up 6 places. PJ also up 6 places. Again, can break that tie with a pass. And Obsessed, same thing, if he can make his way around TJ. JB hanging on to the coattails of both Curtis in 10th and P6 and P5. We're on to lap 6 now of the Grand Prix, and things are all steady out front. The top 4 continue to expand their advantage. 2.4 seconds back to 10th in P5. You see side-by-side Obsessed going there with TJ into turn 1. It's quite close, and TJ slides across the front end of the Cadillac. No damage done, but Obsessed now trying to find an opportunity to draw alongside. And you can see further back, it's TJ and Lucky trying to get involved too. A bit of contact there, a bit of wheel banging as Lucky gets himself a bit too excited as they go up into turn 3. And it's Obsessed who wins out. 7 places gained, more than anyone else so far. See Hull's down 7 places, Dan down 17. It's been a disastrous start then for your championship leader. So Obsessed carries on then, and in fact, put a fair bit of a gap already. It's about almost a second in front of TJ, about 8 tenths clear as of right now. Imri not looking at any closer as he stands, trying to take on Huff for the lead again. He's maintained overtake the entirety of the time, running in second place. Of course, led the first lap. But still a long way to go in this Grand Prix. Still a good 30 laps to come. And whether we see any rain potentially into the equation. Again, the track looks quite overcast. So whether we see any sort of change to conditions remains to be seen. It's down back on circuit. Made a wing change. You can see the visual glitch there. Holes in P19. Difficult start to the day for the Alpine. Of course, Harrison sits in P4, trying to get himself involved in the race for the podium places, but can't get around Grumio as of yet. The biggest pack still going on here in the mid portion. As TJ and AT side by side. There goes Lucky Lambert going 3 wide on corner exit, and you see TJ getting shuffled out. And Lucky side by side with AT, and the Williams driver gets up into P9. JB around Curtis in front, so Williams making progress as a whole here. Side by side as they go through turn 5. 10th Cannon using this opportunity to try and pull away. She's almost a second clear now of Curtis, which means that one of these two cars, preferably the car in front, is going to end up without overtake. But they're saying that Curtis is closing the gap quite quickly here. 10th, obviously just standard boost mode in her case, and falling back away again. So Curtis maintains overtake. Same thing for the cars up front. We're on lap 8 now of the Grand Prix. The laps are flying by awfully fast here. See the V-Carbs there, P15, P16. It's been a disappointing day for them so far. Ben currently leading Cook as things go. So it's P15 for Ben last time out. AT again past Lucky. These two continue to fight for Witt's P9 on the road. Obsessed, not really pulling away as much as you might like. Far away enough that no one can challenge him immediately, but not far enough away to put them out of sight and out of mind. Cott being chased by TJ. And perhaps Cott looking more at a move on Lucky Lambert than he is on anything else. TJ down towards turn 1, makes the pass there. And now up front, Grumio taking second place with Imri. Those two side by side into turn 3. Grumio into second place now. And of course, this is a chance for Grumio to take a big advantage and potentially try and slash Dan's lead in half in that Drivers' Championship. Grumio brings it down to a lean 21. So back inside a race victory as things go. Winning the Grand Prix, of course, could bring that gap down from 39 points to the lead of the championship down to 14. So Grumio with a big chance here with Dan down the field. And Huff has not really been able to increase his lead much beyond 8 tenths. And Cott this. Oh, around goes Harrison! Saves the car, but may have done damage to the end plate on the right side. Looks like he's all okay, but good save from Harrison and almost kept it out of the wall completely. You see PJ into the pit lane. First taker for a standard pit stop of the evening. Whether that means we'll start seeing more cars coming in. Imri still chasing Grumio. Hard tyres on for PJ and Audi. But both their cars down the field having made their first pit stops. Harrison passing JB again. So Harrison's got work to do now to try and get himself back up the order. Got to chase Curtis in 10th. Grumio and Imri trying to close in on Huff. Cott rejoins. Half a second still between the two leaders as it goes. And Imri's wants to get himself back involved if he can. 10th now in P4, about 3.7 back from these guys. Curtis is still in overtake range. Same thing for Harrison, same thing for JB. So there's that second train not far behind. It's about almost 3 seconds back to AT. He's under pressure from Lucky Lambert to go into turn 3. Obsessed in behind him. He's been dispatched by both cars, but now finds himself in the last points playing place still. But TJ right on his tail. Caught in P12, obviously has that penalty to think about. HB Cook P13 now. So around his teammates, also managed to dispatch Ericsson's Aston Martin as well. Courtney Goblin's P16. Hulls in P17. And about 6 seconds back from the Cadillac. PJ right on his tail. Dan in P19. And Ethan, then Gaz, who's just pitted. And Alvar P22. How long do we see the leader starts come in? So we're aware of the fact that obviously the one-stop work for a number of drivers last week. Is there any chance of it this week? Or is Austria too tyre-heavy a circuit? No takers for the time being. So AT sort of in no man's land right now. About a second now in front of Lucky Lambert. But Lucky maintains overtake. Upset has it as well. But TJ got more battery left in the tank. Into turn 1. The Hash driver fighting. It's American car on American car for the last points playing place. And TJ falls out of favour. And Obsessed on the left-hand side. Gets in front for a second. But it could have been an illegal overtake there. Because Obsessed has let TJ go back into the line. Yellow flag down at turn number 8. That is Alvar's and some sort of problem. He's recovered the car. Sorry, that was turn 7, apologies. Half 6 tenths in front. Again, it's been sort of going back and forth and expanding that lead, but making no real progress in pulling away as of yet. Half in the pit lane. First change, the first to lead us to snap. And Grumio now moves into P1. And Imri left by himself to try and chase the champion down. 4 tenths covering them. No takers from anyone else in the top 10 as it stands right now. But Huff coming in. Hard tyres on. Good stop from Red Bull. Nice empty pit lane to come back out into. And we'll see what Huff can now do on pure pace. On those fresh tyres to get back to the field. Harrison there still chasing both Curtis and 10th. As up front, you see Imri and Grumio starting to fight for the lead a little bit. Imri a lot more on the apex there compared to Grumio. And these two drivers have come to blows in the past before. We'll see if that's the case today. Dan's disconnected. So in trouble here. They're still fighting in the mid-pack. You see Obsessed passing TJ again. That fight carries on. And Imri backing off into the pit lane. He comes now. Where does Huff come out? Or rather, where does Imri come out in comparison to Huff? It's just purple second sector in. So Huff stayed the early portion of the race here and is looking for that second career RDL victory, second of the season, after the win 3 weeks ago in Canada. Caught a second penalty for him. Where is Imri? Imri has just changed tyres now. And Huff is past him. Yellow flag's out in front of them. Car around, and that is JB's gone. JB keeps moving. But Imri about 4.5 seconds back or so from Huff. And that's not worked out quite nicely for him. Huff with the pace and the fresher tyres. The question is, can they take those tyres all the way to the end? Obsessed game of penalty now. The penalty's starting to come flying in. Down in the pit lane. Tyres on. Being told down at a power cut here, which could be a concern. Tenth cannon now in P2. Grumio stays on circuit. Harrison right behind her in the Alpine. We're on lap 15 here, nearing the halfway stage in Austria. Half make the pass on TJ. Imrie trying to close back in. He's currently set behind HB Cook. As Gaz Coleman gets a penalty. That's his first of the evening. Harrison side by side with 10th Cannon. And 10th holding on the outside on those warm mediums in through turn 7 and 8. Grumio 4.7 in front. Will he pit? No change there from the champion. Carries on. 10th Cannon's coming in though. So Harrison will now take P2 outright. Curtis follows him through. Obsessed pitting as well for Cadillac, and he comes. TJ will follow mid, so that fight will carry on with the lead pit lane, I should think. But now no cars separating Huff and Imrie. Only problem is the only thing that is now separating them is about 2.2 seconds. The majority of cars coming in now. And I'm guessing the one stop will be the port of call for the drivers who think they can do it. Harrison 4.8 behind Grumio. And truth be told, had he not saved that car, could have lost more time on that spin. So fortunately, he sort of kept himself going again. Huff performing quite fantastically here on those hard tyres. He's about 2.7 seconds back from Lucky Lambert in P5. Of course, he and AT started on the hard tyre. So those two looking in particular being strong. And Grumio in the pit lane now. Harrison and Curtis both following him in, which means that AT and Lucky on those hard tyres, going longer in the first stint, will take the lead away. Huff in a net P1 right now. Imrie net P2. Grumio's at pit exit now. 10th Cannon on the way out from this back on the circuit again, or back towards turn 1, as Grumio comes out back on the pit exit. And 10th will maintain things in front of Harrison and Curtis. PJ rejoins, and Ericsson behind in P10 now. But likely we'll have to stop again at some stage, because I doubt those medium tyres can go all the way to the end. So nearing that halfway stage then. Imrie still 2.5 behind. Lucky Lambert into the pit lane now. So the first of your hard tyre runners pits in. AT staying out, but Huff is closing the gap quite quickly here and looking at the race lead back. We start lap 18. 10th Cannon fastest lap. Pace is very much there with the McLaren. She's currently in the midst of trying to chase down Grumio, 2.3 behind. And whatever she can do is try and keep her teammate a bit further ahead in the championship. But she's got a mountainous task in trying to catch that 11-time champion. Lucky rejoins in P11, finds himself fighting in the battle with Obsessed, and TJ goes 3 wide there, up through turn 2. Great move from Lucky, and puts himself back in the points playing places. But again, same sort of question. Can he keep those medium tyres going towards the end? Truth be told, I doubt it. Yellow flag is out on the main straight. It's Alvar again going slowly. Carries it on, no concern there. AT has Huff right behind. And AT staying out. Huff's got a pass, and Imrie continues to close the gap. The gap's within 2 seconds now between Huff and Imrie. There goes the Red Bull to the inside, looking for a way in. And we'll draw within the car going towards turn 1. Got to outbrake AT now. And Grumio fastest lap, so AT doing as much as he can to try and get Grumio back in the race to the lead here. But to no avail. Huff makes the clearance and takes the lead. But Imrie now about 7/10 or so closer than he was. They're still side by side as they go in through turn 3. But Huff now in front and pulling away. Imrie's got to try and dispatch AT quickly. Let's try and get another chance to try and get back at Huff for the race lead again. Ethan penalty. Got 6 drivers now been penalised tonight. Oh, contact! Imri goes very close there, slides out around the outside of 18 now. Yellow flag is out on the main straight. Alvar stops there. It's gone around there in the last corner. Imri now in front of AT and pulling away. 1.5 the gap between him and Huff for the lead. There's 17 laps to go. Imri's on 1 lap fresher tyres. Grumio charging up here. He's 3.5 behind his teammate right now. Hull's passing Gaz further back. Those two side by side going in through turn 6. JB currently in P13. First penalty of the evening, I believe. Yes. So both vehicles are outside of the points right now. Lucky and PJ side by side. It's Alvar again slow. I think this time it's just blue flags. Lucky passing PJ. And Alvar, 10-second time penalty now for exceeding track limits. Off in the gravel. And I'm wondering whether or not the game will bring anything out for sort of him being where he is right now. Grumio passing AT. Oh, AT's off the circuit. VST's out. And he's lost his front wing to boot. So AT needs to get back to the pit lane now. Repair that wing as fast as he can. And Alvar also slow still. Waiting to rejoin. But things all of a sudden neutralised briefly as Alvar retires from the race. He's out of it. No sign here of the full safety car. Green flag goes back out. Huff now a few seconds in front of Imri. Almost 3 seconds to the good. And Hulls gets a penalty there. Harrison closing in on 10th cannon. So Harrison, of course, still trying to fight back after the spin earlier on in the Grand Prix. As it stands right now, it's doing enough to overhaul HB Cook for P4 once again in the Drivers' Championship. Half out front right now. Gaining 10 points as things stand on Grumio. And gaining the full 25 on Dan. So that gap will be 27 points from Huff to Dan in the standings. Grumio getting 15, so that gap will go down to 24. So things quite close with some between the top 3 in the championship if things stay as they are. But Huff making the biggest gain possible right now. Imri knows it's down to him to try and catch him. He's got 14 laps to try and do it. But all the same, Grumio closing in for 2.4 seconds behind 2.3. About the same sort of gap it is from Imri to the lead. Lucky Lambert there in P7 on those fresh medium tyres, relatively fresh. Gaz another penalty. You see PJ and Obsessed going side by side now. TJ might try and get involved on the inside through turn 5. There he goes. Makes the pass nice and easy. Obsessed still running fantastically in the points as things stand right now. And if he falls down to P10, JB is 3 seconds back with now, yeah, that was that one penalty still. PJ in the pit lane there. He's done 13 laps on those hard tyres. And he comes to make a change. Another set of hard tyres going on. He'll have to run those to the end. He's essentially split his 2 stints there. He'll rejoin what looks to be P15. Connie being chased by Hulls here. They run towards turn 3. They go to the Alpine to the outside. Doors door with the Cadillac now as they run into the right-hander. Courtney on the inside. Long-time veteran versus the debutant, and it's the debutant who wins out. It's Huff in the pit lane. So I think looking at one more stop in this Grand Prix then for everyone, based off what we're seeing here. The question is, does Imrie do what he did last week and try and risk the one stop? I don't think he can, truth be told. But Huff again looking to try and bank on pace in the pits, or pace rather in the pit stop sequence, to get himself further in front. It's worked like a dream from so far. Grimmy there 1.4 behind Imrie. He's on 3-lap fresher tyres and closing the gap rapidly. Huff rejoins in 9th place here, and quite slow to get going. What's happened to the race leader, to the net race leader? I'm wondering if this could be potentially a technical concern. It might put Huff out of contention. He's going to start moving again. But what on earth happened there? He's still slow on corner exit. He's got himself going again, but what damage might that have done then to Huff's chances? Might that have cost him the win? We shall have to see. Imrie and Grumio now by themselves. About a second between Imrie and Grumio for the lead. We're on lap 25. And based on Huff's move, it wouldn't surprise us to see everyone else back in again at least one more time. Grumio and Imrie would be no doubt unaware of what's been happening with their only other competitor in this Grand Prix. Harrison back into 3rd place now. Again, how much time will Huff have lost from that? And I'm guessing that that's got to be equipment failure or some sort of technical glitch. Yellow flags out on the main straight, and that is Huff in the pit lane retiring the car. And the long-time race leader is out. We'll see if we can get word at all on what's happened to Huff, but Red Bull's chance is shot today. That'd be huge for Haas to be able to take P3 in the Constructors outright if they can maintain where they are right now. And that will promote Harrison back on the podium, 3 seconds back, and still have an outside chance to win this thing, because pace has been alright for Harrison so far in this race. As Grumio is now chasing Imrie. These two notes for the lead outright now, but not fighting anything else through pit stops. Lucky in the pit lane now for Williams. PJ penalty for him as well. Grumio right behind Imrie here, about 1/4 of a second separating there, going through turn 4. We could see a move to the lead here sooner rather than later. And Grumio from P5 on the grid might be looking at a chance here to move into the top spot. Imrie's going to do all he can now to try and keep Grumio at bay, but it could be inevitable that if the champion makes the pass. Down the inside he goes into turn 9, and Grumio takes the race lead back. For the first time today, the champion is out front. But Imrie gets overtake now. Inside the final 10 laps this Austrian Grand Prix, we could be in for a spectacular finish. What do you do now if you're Imrie? Is the game's trying to get back around Grumio naturally, or try and force him into some sort of error? We'll see as to what Imrie plays out. Blue flags are out as the Red Bull of Gazcom lets the 2 race leaders through. Tenth Cannon in P4 right now. And holding the fort down for McLaren. Both teams having just one car inside the points. Both Mercedes and the Woking-based Warriors. And that gap will go down to 11 points for McLaren in the Constructors. Mercedes with the points as it stands right now, closing in. Yellow flags are out. And that is Cott who's got damage. Damage on the right end plate there, with the sense that he's lost it. Dan back in the pit lane, gets himself moving again. He's onto a set of medium tyres. Set of used mediums though. He's going to try and run those to the end. One should think. On to lap 28 here. Imrie closing the gap. The more these two fight, there's more the chance that Harrison can try and close in. And Imrie looking for a way through on the inside, but to no avail. needs to try and keep battery high and ensure that he's in the overtake spot come the last lap, because that'll be the chance. There's never a chance to try and get the move done. But is Imrie willing to make the move if he can't pull away? Caught penalty in the speeding in the pit lane. That could be, or could be a retirement. Doesn't seem like it. And Cott changing his wing. Medium tyres on that car. Tough day today for Cott so far. Eight more laps. There's Harrison, 2.3 back from Imrie as it stands. His overall gap to lead, 2.9 seconds. He's not gaining much. He needs to start gaining if he wants a chance to try and win this thing. Imrie again keeping close, but practically depleting his battery repeatedly. Lock up from Grumio, big slide there going in through turn 4. And a chance potentially for Imrie to try and take advantage if he can keep himself close. The champion harvesting batteries, they go in through turn 7, through turn 6 and 7, up to into 8. Holes penalty. That's the second of the evening. Driver the most being Cott with 22 seconds, obviously added on after the pit lane penalty. On to lap 30 here, getting closer and closer to what could perhaps be the culmination of this fight for the race lead. Cottony Goblin emerges from the pits just behind our two leaders. Gaz Coleman another penalty, that's third now. Chase continues as they race through turn 3. HB Cook there in P9, he's made solid progress and now sits behind JB, who's got several seconds of penalties. Oh, sorry, it's the 3 rather. But might HB Cook try and take him naturally into 3, can't quite do it yet, stays in line. And all too similar to your two race leaders. Cook and JB, nose to tail, down towards turn 4. Eric's 1.6 behind. Would be in position to try and take advantage of this, but of course he's got 3 seconds of his own. And may lose out that last points paying place to Lucky Lambert. AT will look to try and catch him at the very end. You're on to lap 31 up front. 6 more laps. Let's not forget, Imrie's tyres 3 laps older than Grumio's, but he's keeping up with him. But hasn't got enough juice, at least right now, to consider a pass for the lead. Blue flag still out. Harrison 1.6 behind Imrie now. So the gap closing a little bit now for Harrison. He's beginning to reel him in. But it won't be enough here towards the end of the race. He's going to need to move more than that. There's just 5 laps left. Imrie's going to need to get some battery up to try and have a chance taking Grumio down. Cottony Goblin 10-second penalty, ignoring the blue flag. That's for Harrison. He's got to let him through. Alpine makes the pass. Harrison no doubt hoping that Imrie and Grumio start fighting, because if they do, that'll allow him to close into more. But he's doing perfectly fine right now. He had overtake off of Cottony, not this time off Imrie. He needs to gain about 3 more tenths or so, and he is gaining still. Remember, he's also on 15-lap old tyres like Grumio, so the tyre's quite worn, but still in good stead compared to the driver in second place. And And these guys making the one-stop work. It looks as though everyone in the top 9's going for it. Obsessed in P6 there. I mean, he's had a fantastic race. He's got 3 seconds of penalties, but so too does TJ. So those two fighting over a normal position and hoping that Cook doesn't catch him. At which point, Cook needs to get about a second lap or so to try and do it. But Obsessed, again, looking for a 6th place finish if he can keep it. Be fantastic for him to take 2 top 6 finishes in his first 2 races back. 4 laps. As Grumio seeks another victory here at the Red Bull Ring. Imrie looking to topple him. And Harrison looking to become the first driver in RDL history to win the Austrian Grand Prix and both the forward and reverse layout. And it raises the question as to whether or not anyone's actually managed to do it before in any reverse track, because I'm unsure if Pope managed to win Silverstone before when he won the reverse Grand Prix, but Grumio has definitely won Silverstone before, so I'm guessing this would be a track first if Harrison can somehow come back from here, but it's unlikely. Imrie in overtake still. He's going to need to charge something up, because Grumio will just go full balls to the wall and battery and just bolt on the last lap. We've seen it do it many times before to other drivers. Just 3 more laps. Cook hanging on to P8 right now in front of Lucky. JB holding on to the last points paying place, but needs to bank on AT not closing that gap. AT on 12 lap old medium tyres. The risk is still there as Cook and Lucky go side by side for P9. Williams looking at points either way here. But if JB can keep himself in front of Cook, sorry, in front of Ericsson, that'll do quite nicely. Although I'm sure if JB could pass Cook as well, it'd be great for the team. Hulls, a 3rd penalty. It's been a tough day for him, just from that the first spin early on. And Harrison now is there. He's within overtake range. And all of a sudden, we've got a race in our hands. 2 laps to go. Can anyone in the top 3, can 2nd or 3rd do anything to try and match Grumio here in the closing 2 laps? Up the gears again towards turn 3. Cook passing JB. Lucky goes around. Lucky in the gravel trap there. And the Williams driver falls in the points completely. And that's going to mean that likely JB and Ericsson both end up in the top 10. AT is still not close enough. But I don't think he's falling away here in these closing laps. But Williams again will still score points. But Lucky down to P12 here, being chased by PJ for that spot. The fight carries on. We'll see how that concludes in a lap and a half's time. The gap overall between the 3 leaders, 1 second, covers 3 drivers. And again, Imrie's not got a lot of battery saved here, which could be his undoing on the last lap, because Grumio's got a lot of his saved. He's about half a tank in boost mode. But Imrie and Harrison were both of overtake, so it's down to what they can do on this 36th and final tour. 3-car race for the win. Grumio up front, 1 more lap to go. Up towards turn 1 again. And Imrie's going to try and get something big here, using overtake. But Grumio's in overtake, using boost as well. And actively pulling away, and the battery management is doing Imrie in late on. And Harrison might get a chance to take P2 away after the day he's had. Imrie locks up. Harrison right on his tail. But Grumio, as he's done many times in the past, pulling away on the last lap. There's nothing Imrie can do here to counter it. Grumio now 3/4 of a second in front. But a big lock-up here in through turn 4 will allow the drivers in front to close the gap a bit, but it could be too little too late here for Imrie and Harrison. Harrison, who's charged all the way back here, is trying to have a chance to win this thing. Finds himself in 2nd place, perhaps with a late chance to try and add the place off Imrie with enough battery. But Grumio out front and in control. And after the disaster that was Barcelona just a week ago, 7 days later, Grumio takes full advantage, gets himself back on top as he rounds turns 9 and 10 for the 36th and final time. It'll be Grumio's take his 5th victory of season 21 and throw a big hammer blow back to Dan in the Drivers' Championship. Grumio wins the Austrian Grand Prix. Imrie 2nd, Harrison in P3. 10th Cannon with a remarkable P4 in the end for McLaren. Curtis follows over in P5. And keep the applause coming for 10th Cannon. For Obsessed Gamer has TJ at the inside there and contact on the last lap. Obsessed is sent wide and TJ is through on the inside. It's quite close towards the line between these two. But Obsessed is overtake coming towards the flag. It's close. And Obsessed gets it narrowly by 0.005 of a second. Cook in P8 in the end, JB P9, and Ericsson will take P10 with AT being unable to overhaul either one of the two penalised cars. Lucky over PJ in P12 and P13. Ben P14. Looks at P16 here with 28 seconds worth of penalties. Disappointing day, at least for one side of the garage once again. Ferrari and Imri back on the podium. And a big 18 points for Imri. That is just his third podium finish in 10 races. And Ethan across the line as well. There's Obsessed Gamer, sorry. 6th place for him today. A big 8 points, another big 8 points to add to his tally from last week. But Grumio the winner. Harrison locked in to try and chase those guys down. But Grumio beats Imri, and again, it's battery management. That is the name of the game here, especially around a circuit like Austria. And Grumio, supercharged as always. The champion wins here in the Styrian Hills. Mercedes back on top. And it feels like a long time since Grumio last took victory. It's only been 2 weeks since his last one in Monaco, but when Grumio doesn't win, the chasm expands more and more. But in this case, it keeps itself nice and sealed. Grumio takes win number 5 of the season. Victories in Australia, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Monaco, and now Austria. Imri 2nd place, but a big 18 points towards his Drivers' Championship. Harrison in 3rd place, and it's 10th Cannon P4. Curtis P5, Obsessed Gamer in P6 once again, TJ P7, HP Cook in P8, up 10 places in that Grand Prix, definitely a fantastic drive. JB in P9, and 10th place goes to Ericsson, narrowly in front of AT. Lucky Lambert P12, then it's PJ P13, Ben P14, Ethan P15, Cop P16, Conley P17, Cole's 18th, 19th goes to Dan, 20th to Gaz, 21st to Huff, and 22nd to Alvar. And we've already got Huff in the commentary box waiting for conversation. Huff, I'll mute myself. Huff, gutting stuff there, mate. I mean, I've just seen what you said in the chat. I mean, I'm guessing equipment failure there, but I mean, to be in the lead from the majority of the Grand Prix and for that to happen, I'm guessing heartbroken there.
Yeah, I'm absolutely good. Should have been my win. I think I had the strategy down right. I tried, it went when I was going into the second last corner, and I was like, right, I'll pit and see if I can fix it. But yeah, I don't know what's wrong with it, so I need to have a look in a wee moment when I go into time trial. But yeah, absolutely gutted. It was a good battle as well at the start, but I thought I'd be able to run away with it when I pitted, but it's all good. We just need to see what the issue is.
Obviously dropping points to Grumio today in the Drivers' Championship with Grumio taking the win. But can you take solace at least in the fact that Dan obviously had quite a disappointing day as well? Obviously the championship leader.
Yeah, like it would have been nice to have a few extra points on him, but yeah, like I suppose there's something good in it, I suppose. But yeah, it's just gotten considering I got pole and then could have won the race, but it's all good.
And I'll ask you this in terms of next week. Is Silverstone a sort of good circuit to try and bounce back at?
Yeah, Silverstone is usually quite good. So I'll try and hopefully sort this out, and hopefully it never happens again. So because it's worse. It's worse when it's not your fault. You know, it's just something that happens that's out of your control. But yeah.
Well, disappointing for Huff either way, from the victory down to that P21 in the end. Gutting day, but definitely down to equipment failure, and obviously Huff drove fantastically all day as we saw, but yeah, disappointing all the same. We'll come now to Imri, who finished in 2nd place. And Imri, for once, giving us an interview that's not a race victory. Imri makes 2nd place on the day and only about a second back from Grumio. Was it battery that just held you back in the end of the last lap?
Just that battery. Impossible to recharge. I was trying everywhere, every corner, just impossible.
But still, I mean, a 3rd podium finish of the season, obviously, given how things have gone so far. Is this sort of the start of the upturn after the race win last week?
Yeah, I think if I'm correct, I'm the highest scoring driver out of the last 2 races, so we'll keep going with that.
Obviously pushing forward to Silverstone home race next time out. Is that one to try and get in the bag as a victory for Ferrari?
I always try. My favourite track, but I always end up being best of the rest, which is usually P5, P6. So we'll see.
Is there anything you might look at doing differently next week to try and prevent that at all?
I think last season I went for qualifying, so I'll be going for the race instead. But I've been going for the race this season, and it's showing. So we'll go that way.
So second place on the road, but definitely progress from Imri and the Ferrari team after tonight's race. We'll come now to 10th Cannon, who winds up in P4 for McLaren. 10th, back on it again. I mean, back in the points. And P4 seems to be sort of the getting more and more common for you. I mean, it's good points. You've taken, based on my count here, you've taken 4 fourth place finishes. Is there a point where we'll sort of break through and get the podium eventually, or what's the plan there?
I hope so. I don't want to be fourth forever. Although the wedding will be sometime soon, I expect, between me and fourth place. I don't know. I mean, obviously, all you can really do is turn up week in and week out and see how quick you are. I personally was very proud of how I did today. I thought it was really good pace. I thought I did really well in quali, really well on the race. I'm just proud of how that went for me in general, I think.
Of course, another race where the sort of the one stop versus the 2 stop was in play. All of the top 9 took the 1 stop. Was there any sort of risk in terms of puncture towards the end, or were you all okay there?
No, I was fine. I was I did a lot of tire saving. Well, I say tire saving. It's more battery saving than anything. But because I was lifting so early into the corners, it was also saving my tires as well.
Obviously, looking to sort of more of a team-wide situation for you guys. McLaren, Dan went down early in the race, and that brings Mercedes' gap down.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, indeed. But that bring the gap down by my count from 24 points to 11 to Mercedes in the Constructors' Championship. Is that a gap you guys can look at Silverstone next week and try and increase that again?
Hello.
All right, that's what that was.
That's not good. Scary. I don't know. I mean, it's like I said earlier. You kind of just have to turn up week in, week out, see how quick you are in practice. I'll see how I am in my midweek practice whenever that is. Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, I think all we have to do really is just keep scoring points with both cars. We've been through a stretch recently where it's kind of only been one or the other, mostly on my end from just reliability issues, which I'm still trying to fix. But yeah, I mean, hopefully we can just get some more points. I think that's what we need to do, is just keep scoring consistently, and we'll probably be fine, because Dan's got the pace to continuously run up at the front, and I've got well, I don't know really, but I guess I have the pace to be a good backup for if something happens to him, as I kind of proved today.
So scoring points, a simple but very doable objective of both McLaren drivers, but 10th, of course, 4th place finish once again. And again, we're looking for the RSVP in the mail for the wedding between 10th and 4th. But we'll move on in the meantime, and we'll head over to Obsessed Gamer, who once again finds himself in P6. Obsessed, again, is this going to be a more and more common occurrence as time goes by, or is this sort of another one of those races where you sort of took advantage of things?
I don't know if it. I don't care, you know. If it's a common thing, that's fine by me. But yeah, no, I think I definitely took advantage of some things, like at the start, definitely split everybody up a bit. And then doing the one stop definitely helped.
One thing I did want to ask you, sort of in terms of that sort of the very late scuffle on the last lap of TJ, what did you make of that on your end?
Seemed like a drag race at the end. I'm not sure. I haven't really watched the replay, so I can't really speak on it.
Fair enough, man. I mean, you're right in the drag race part. 5,000 separating you guys. I'm guessing you saw at the very end of the race. But yeah, I mean, 16 points from your first 2 rounds back with us, and that's enough to sort of stick you in alongside Websy in P13. So that's a fairly good return. Is Silverstone a location where you can try and get some more points, if not 6th place again?
You know, hopefully it's always in the cards. You never know, though. I'm not the biggest fan of Silverstone, obviously it being on British soil and all, but yeah, I just don't think it's one of my best tracks. So
I mean, things have happened with the Stars and Straps in the past. I think to Che winning a particular race around Silverstone in a Stars and Stripes livery that we had to run briefly in RDL race or two a couple of games ago. But yeah, so better things have happened in the past for the Americans on British soil around Silverstone. So we'll see how things work out for you next week. And we'll come now to HP Cook, who wound up, if I double check my thing here, where is it? Wound up in the 8th position. Cook, is that right? Just confirm me on that.
Yeah, I believe somewhere around there.
But I mean, one thing I did want to ask is sort of, you and Ben sort of struggled a fair bit in qualifying, it seemed. 18th and 19th, you guys in the group. Was there any sort of particular concern there that plagued you guys during qualifying?
We just didn't do any practice. We had no idea on battery. Ben literally just got home from work and then had his tune and jumped on. I pretty much did the exact same, so I was not without work. So, I kind of checked quality as like a practice, get used to battery. And then it was just minor mistakes that maybe I could have found a 10, 2, 3, who knows.
Obviously, you fought your way through the midfield, P18 to P8, 10 places gained over the course of the Grand Prix. Was there any sort of moment in the race that stood out to you? Any sort of particularly good overtakes?
To be honest, I can't remember most of them. I had a double battle with JB towards the end. Obviously, I think I can sit here now and say I think I could not be in that battle with Obsess and TJ if I didn't get murdered by an Audi at the start. But no, they're all just simple overtakes. But when you're down there in 18th, get your way back through it. It's simple but effective. At the end of the day, yeah, you've got to make them moves. But to get points from the position we were, end of lap 1, I'm not going to sit here and complain.
Well, in terms of the Drivers' Championship, by my count, I could be wrong on this, but I believe Harrison may have jumped you by a few points. Is that a spot you're going to try and get back at Silverstone, try and get yourself back into P4?
I'll be honest, I'm not even... I have a brief gander at the driver's standings, but it's not my main concern right now. My main concern is, helping Ben and get VCAP at the standings and also just maximise results each week. And then when we get to, I believe it's somewhere around Qatar area, when it gets to business end of season, then you can look at where you are and then realise who you're battling against.
So a very similar mindset to last season, yeah?
Yeah, 100%.
So consistent as always from HP Cook, another point scoring finish in the bag for him and for VCAP. We'll come to Ben, who also came to the field in his own right, but finished P14 at the flag. Ben, I'm guessing the same sort of thing in terms of qualifying on your end as well?
It's not about where you start, it's about where you finish. So I think I've done that. Once again, made up several places and then got shunted by an AI. So just what you love to see. But paid for there tonight. Tyres, we're not really. Even my management were alright, but it weren't that bad.
I was going to ask about the running of the 2-stop. If you could do the race again, would you have tried the 1 or not taking that risk?
I think the mediums were just too bad. I think I went to lap 14, I want to say. I wanted to push even further, but there was no chance of it happening. And then when the VSC came out, that pretty much showed that the 2-stop could have worked. And for it to end the second, I entered the pit lane, so I didn't gain anything.
Well, I getting close to the point, but still looking to try and break that duck. An opportunity arises next week at Silverstone. Is that a good track for you, or no? All right.
No, I don't like Silverstone. Silverstone's absolutely woeful on tyres, battery. Me, I can't drive Silverstone, so honestly, that felt quite consistent for me tonight. So I'm not looking forward to next week.
Well, we'll see if we can get pleasantly surprised next week by Ben, who comes home P14 the flag. And we'll come down
Pole
last
position
fall.
would be nice.
always entertaining, Ben, as always. And we'll come now last of all to JB, who came home P9 of the flag. Very close fight towards the end there, JB, with obviously you, Ericsson, Cook on that little train together. How was that racing from your perspective?
Yeah, it was good. It was a bit frustrating. I was up with 10th and Curtis at the start, and then had a spin just before my stop and dropped me a good few places. So really should have been a place or two higher today, but still points which I've only managed about half the time this season. So yeah, definitely on the right side of things, especially considering pretty much everyone was here today. So pace is good, qualifying was good. Just need to work on these little errors which seem to creep in every now and again.
Speaking of the other little errors, obviously towards the end, as you guys all fight the little train together, Lucky spun out. Did you see anything that happened there?
Yeah, he just lost it on the exit of the second left-hander, unfortunately, and spun off into the gravel. Just one of those things. He did quite well, I think, on the 2 stops. I think he was the highest of the 2 stoppers. But yeah, I don't know what happened there. Maybe he left the boost on or something. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's a shame because we would have both been in the points for one of the only times this season. But yeah, just the way it goes sometimes.
Looking for the first time which is back in Australia. So yeah, it's been a little while since you guys got both from the points together. Next week, obviously, Silverstone Home Grand Prix, and coming into it with points scores in 3 of your last 4 races. Can you go through on the spin, do you think, in terms of those points finishes?
Maybe. I don't know. To be honest, lower downforce tracks like Silverstone have never really been my forte. So I have to see. Well, the pace has been good recently, so I'm hoping that will at least carry forward. But where there are other drivers who are maybe better on the low downforce tracks, that might be where I fall back into the sort of 11th, 12th area again. So yeah, I'll definitely give it my all, and hopefully, if I don't make any mistakes like I did this week, then can get the top 10 again.
We will certainly find out on the 24th of August, same time, same place next week on the Zach Ossey channel. That'll do it then for interviews, and that'll do it then for coverage of tonight's Grand Prix here in Austria. Thank you all for coming along to the post-race. Hope you did enjoy. If you did, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more future audio content. Have an absolutely fantastic week, and we will see you next time for the British Grand Prix. Goodbye.